What's up, guys? Welcome to the weekly technicals for May 19th, 2019, and we're currently looking at the economic calendar for this upcoming week. And for like the US and Canada, we have a bank holiday, so we may not see too much volatility tomorrow for Monday, but we do have a Fed chair speaker at 7 p.m. for dollar index, so we could see a pretty active Asia session tomorrow on dollar index. And going into Tuesday, we have some British pound high impact news. We have some inflation report hearings, and then late New York session on Tuesday, we have medium impact dollar index. And then for Asia session, we've got New Zealand dollar and Australian dollar as well. So Tuesday will likely be decent with volatility as well. And then Wednesday, good bit of British pound news, Canadian dollar news for New York session, and we have FOMC as well. So do want to stay pretty much clear of anything on Wednesday. So at least late New York session. So I'd look to be out of anything before the end of New York session. So roughly around like that 10 a.m., 11 a.m. hour, I would look to close any positions and wait till after FOMC. And then for Thursday, we'll likely have a pretty volatile day for Eurodollar. So if you look, we have a lot of Euro news, medium impact and high impact. And then looks like we have the elections as well. So day one of that, and then day two here on Friday, along with 3 and 4 as well. So a lot of high impact Eurodollar news. So we'll likely see a pretty big expansion on Eurodollar this week. All right, so with that being said, let's go over to the charts, and we're going to start on the weekly time frame. So if you look on the weekly, dollar index has just gradually been pushing higher, but we have these two down candles here, and we're almost breaking above that. So I think this week we'll be running above 98.30s into probably 98.50s, and I'm looking to see what happens when we get up to this bearish order block at 98.50. So ideally I want to see them get into the 99s and run this high here with a continuation above here, and then maybe longer term we'll see even the 104s, but that's a good ways away. But if we look at the daily, it's pretty clear that we've come down, we've cleared out any sell side liquidity. Now we're pushing higher for 98.30s, so we've got liquidity resting above here. And then if we scroll out, we've got our ICT bearish order block here at 98.50. So along with some equal highs built up above the 102s. So we got a lot of liquidity resting above us. As you can see, we've just been trending higher. So to me, I'm looking for that next higher high to form. We've been consolidating for a while, but we finally broke out of it here, came all the way back down, cleared out the sell side liquidity back into an ICT bullish order block. Now we're rallying away from that. So I'll be looking for a continuation higher on dollar index for this week. And Eurodollar, if we go on a weekly, very similar situation. So we've been gradually trading lower. We have an ICT bullish order block resting here at the 110s, and we have these two up candles which we're almost closing below with this last week's trading. So I think we'll get an expansion this week below this low here, and that's at the 111.10 level. So 111.10, and then we can make that blue. Alright, so that's what we'll be looking at for the downside objective for the week. So about 40 pips from where we're at now. You can see it here. And if we scroll out, we've got these equal lows here at the 110 big figure, and then we've got an ICT bullish order block at the 110.40 level. So we do have these equal highs that they left in place at 112.60, so we could see a run back to the upside after they clear out the sell side liquidity, and we could trade into the 112.80s. But as of right now, everything's still pointing to a weaker Eurodollar. Alright, British pound, this was the big mover for the week. So if you look at the last 2 weeks, we've had significant bearish weeks on British pound. We've closed below this ICT bearish order block here, and we've now taken out this low here. So we've broken pretty much structure on the downside now. So I'll be looking for a continuation on British pound, seeing if we can get below these lows in here, so we could trade into the 1.26s, maybe even the 1.25s, and potentially even a run all the way down here into the 1.24s. If that happens, then we have a next pocket of liquidity below here. But I do think we'll probably get, if we clear the liquidity below here, depending on how we close below there, or if we wick through it, we could see a run back up, because we do have a lot of buy side liquidity resting above British pound as well. So we are significantly trading lower though, so we'll have to see what happens overall with that. If you look, we've had pretty much continuous consecutive bearish days, so we may want to push back up into the 1.2770 level, which is the low here, the structure they just broke. And if we get a continuation above that, we'll be looking for 28.90, and then the market could easily find some resistance there and start selling off. So we could see this, or even this, and then the market ultimately starts showing some signs of weakness, and then we could sell off from there. So that's what I'll be looking at for my objectives on British pound. And just notice how we initially came down into the ICT bullish order block here on a daily basis, rallied away, took out the liquidity above here, sold off, closed below the up candle, retested, sold off, and then it went for the liquidity below here, ultimately expanding below here. So this is a really key piece of price action to study, because this happens over and over and over again in the markets. Initially they will have a run up, they'll come back down, trade into the ICT bullish order block, it'll support it, trade higher, sell off, close below. Now you get the confirmation it's going lower, retest, sold off. So notice how you could have been short pretty much each day, going for the liquidity, either targeting this first below here, or targeting below here if you got in here or here. Alright, if we look at Euro GBP, we've seen a pretty significant push to the upside here, which is obviously leading to a relatively consolidating euro dollar and ultimately a significantly bearish British pound. So if we go out to a daily, you can see we've just been consecutively trading higher, cleared out the liquidity above here, broken out of this consolidation. Next level on the upside will be the 88.40 level, and if we continue pushing above there, we'll likely see continued expansion to the downside on British pound. Alright, and lastly, if we look at dollar CAD, this thing has really been kind of the slowest of them all, because we've just been consolidating, forming relatively tight weekly ranges. So you can see here, but now that we've made this higher high, clearing out the liquidity above here, we've just been consolidating for the past 4 weeks, but we still do have this ICT bearish order block at the 1.3560. So I think we're ultimately just winding up for a run above there. If you go out to a daily, you can actually see it. So if you look at the daily chart, we've been supporting this ICT bullish order block here, traded into it several times here, and we've just been consolidating the actual range between the high at 1.3520 and then the ICT bullish order block open at 33.85. So that's just been the range that we're trapped within. But if you look here, we've got this perfect ICT bearish order block. So I think we're going to get a run above that with relative equal highs resting above here. As long as we don't break back below the 33.80 level, we should be expanding up into the 35s. So 35.20 is going to be my first objective. Liquidity resting above here with a continuation into 35.50, 35.60s. Alright, and that is everything for the weekly technicals. So if you guys have any questions, feel free to drop a comment below this video, and until I talk to you next time, have a good week.